Welcome back to my channel. My name is Kayla and I am the owner of I Could Make That But, which is a small business that primarily sells crocheted plushies and other small crocheted items. And I'm so glad you're here. Today we are trying out this microphone to see if audio improves. We'll see. And in today's video, we are going to go over one of the markets that I just did this past weekend, kind of go through all the numbers, what sold, what didn't sell, and some goals for the last 3 markets I have this year. If that sounds interesting to you, then definitely grab your own crochet project or other hobby project and let's go. Oh, and if you haven't yet, definitely like and subscribe so that you can see more content like this as I put out a lot of different market videos, especially during this holiday season. Let's go. Okay, so to start off, I just want to apologize because I know I probably sound really stuffy right now. I'm trying to get through a cold, and that is why there's also not that much pre-market footage as there normally is in this video. Also, at the market, I was very, very close to neighbors and also had people kind of helping me because it was a local market. So more people in my area were able to come by and hang out. So I was a little self-conscious about filming. So there is just not as much market footage. And I'm going to apologize now for that. We'll blame illness and just embarrassment that we are working through. So, um, this market was a Saturday market from 10 to 3 at a local church in my town. They do a big Scarecrow festival, lots of activities for the kids, a lot of vendors. I think there were like 30 of us. There's food, there's activities. It's a really nice day. And it was even nicer because the weather really turned out to be amazing on this day because it's an outdoor event. This is actually my last outdoor market for the season. I move inside afterwards. Um, so this was a great way to go out because it was like 70 degrees, super sunny. Like there was a breeze, but it didn't like blow over any inventory, which was great. So definitely 10 out of 10 for weather. But I will put in clips here of the setup and some of the updates through the market. Okay, I don't know if you could tell, but by the end of this market, my table was definitely looking a little bit emptier, which was great. Um, Spoiler before we get into all specifics, this was a really good market. I had done this one last year and it ended up raining, so we had to move it inside. And even inside, I still did okay. This year I think I more than doubled my results, which was great. It was so well attended. It was very consistent all the way through till 3 o'clock. Like there were some people that were still like kind of walking in at 3 and they were announcing that it was over, and vendors were like tearing down. So just something new, which was also super kind that the organizers kind of gave that warning. So then, like, we weren't the bad guys for starting to break down. It was just very clear, like, this event was over. And so that was nice. Before we go into inventory and everything, I did want to highlight I have two new display pieces. They're both behind me that I definitely wanted to get better display pieces, especially because I'm moving to indoor markets. I'll be going down to like one table for most of them. And so I needed items that allowed me to put more things on a limited amount of space. So the first thing I got was this keychain tree. So it can go kind of spin, which is nice. It's 3 layers, which is very nice. And I put this at the end of one of my tables. So it was a piece that kind of drew people in, which was nice. This I got on Amazon. And then also on Amazon, I got this shelf behind me. And that's actually pretty lightweight. It's 3 levels and it goes kind of deep, not too deep. It's like probably a 9-inch shelf deep, but it's nice. It has on the top row like a bar in the back, and then there's a bar on the other 2 levels too. But definitely recommend one of these. I think I got it for like $30, and this will definitely be a staple for all of my markets because it was so nice to display the more expensive stuff I could put up here because that's just been kind of willy-nilly out. Um, I put turtles all through here. I had put pumpkins on the bottom. So it was nice to keep things organized. So definitely recommend that. I'll link all this in the description. And then I forgot, but it's right next to me. I had been using plastic bins to bring all my inventory, which was fine, but it was a little harder to put everything in my car. And like this particular market, my dad was available, so I borrowed his truck. That was nice. So I didn't have to worry so much about space. But looking towards the holiday markets, it will be my car. And just with the amount of inventory I've been prepping or I've been attempting to prep, the totes were only taking up more room. So I got these bags that I ended up with my whole inventory, and I brought how many items? 153 items. I was able to fit them into 2 of these bags, which was pretty nice. And we ended up based just through selling. I took back stuff in only one of these bags. So I was able to eliminate a whole bag that I could then just fold up and kind of put into another display piece, which was kind of nice. So definitely recommend these as well. But yeah, so that's some of the new stuff that I got for my display. But now let's get into what sold and kind of just where we are numbers wise. Okay, so like I said, the attendance was pretty solid throughout this whole time. And people definitely were coming with the intention to shop. Not always the case with an October or slash fall market, especially when there were so many other activities going on. Sometimes it's like oh, that's really nice, like looking at the vendors kind of thing, but they're really there for either the cheaper activities or just downright free activities. And so luckily there was a good combo of people that were here, which was really nice. So I grabbed some of the stuff that sold and some that didn't to show I'm going to try to be better about putting patterns of where I've gotten these things also, in case you're interested in making any of these things. But let's jump into it. So to start, we have the bees. This bee pattern is by Crochet by Jenna. I follow the YouTube video for this one, and I make these in the regular yellow. I do some in just solid other colors, and then I also have done rainbow versions where I just kind of do the math to kind of block out how the stripes go. Um, Both my rainbow ones sold, so I don't have one to show. But I started with 7 bees and I ended up with 4. So I sold 3 bees. So it was the 2 rainbow and then 1 of the regular yellow that sold. So that's that one. Loaf Cats. Where are you? I'm just going to put them away in the bag as I show them to help with cleanup. It seems sufficient. So, Loaf Cats, this is the pattern that's by Annie Caraway Art. That's everywhere. It's a wonderful pattern. It's a reason it is everywhere. So, I had 7 of these to start. I sold 2 of them, so now I have 5. Usually, Loaf Cats do better for me. What actually was the shock was Crayons ended up doing better for me than Loaf Cats. They are both priced at $20, and I have noticed it either goes one or the other that get really popular at markets. I don't know why. It's just what I've noticed. But since we're talking about crayons, this is by far what I am asked about most pattern wise. This is from Not Monster on Etsy. It's part of a back to school bundle. I do not believe they sell the crayon pattern by itself. Normally that bundle is on sale and it's not that bad. And there's other cute stuff in that bundle. I primarily just make the crayons. I use a larger hook and yarn than what's suggested in the pattern, which is how they come to this size, because I think in the pattern it calls for acrylic yarn and a smaller hook. So the crayons come out like that. Also can be really cute. I like them in this size. So I had 8 of these to start and I ended up with 2 at the end. So I sold 6 crayons, which is by far the most crayons I've ever sold at one market. So that was very exciting. Not as exciting that now I need to make a lot more crayons, but I do like this pattern, so it's fun. So we have those. Mini Octos. I had, where is it? Found it. This mini Octo I found from a YouTube tutorial. I will put it on the screen. The YouTube tutorial also has options to give the Octo little ears. I just don't do that part. So these, I had 15 of them and I ended up with 4 at the end, so I sold 11. These usually do really well. Likewise, I also had whales that were this size that are the All from Jade pattern, and those I also sell for $5. I had 11 of them going in, and I sold out of all of them. So definitely suggest both of these patterns. They're fairly easy to make, and people really like them. I call them usually like the pocket pals. And yeah, it's the scrunchies are cheaper, but it's the cheapest plushie on my table. So very often I will get parents that will say if they have like more than one child, you can each pick either a whale or a mini octo because they see it's $5 and then they're still getting something. And so then there's little tiers, which is good. In the same vein, I have my regular size Octos that I sell for $10. This is a Crochet by Jenna tutorial on YouTube, and it's fairly easy to work up. It is obviously more rounds than the mini, which is why it's more. These do pretty well. I will find that people expect them to do the flip thing that's popular where like one side's happy, the other side's sad or mad. Um, and I did try to make that once. I think I talked about it in a different video. It didn't come out as well as I wanted it to, so I primarily just make these kinds. But I don't, when I'm prepping, I don't make as many as these as I do the minis, just because these don't tend to sell as well. But I brought 8 of them to this market and I sold 4. So that's good. So I have 4 left. So that's nice. What's next? I talked about crayons, whales, birds. So this bird pattern is the chubby penguin pattern that's on Etsy that I can link also. It is a paid pattern. The pattern does call for acrylic yarn, and then the birds come out smaller. They're like that big. I did used to make them that size, and then I switched to using, I think this is Parfait Chunky, and a slightly bigger hook size. I think I used a 6mm hook for this one, and to make it a little bit bigger. And I find that they do better to sell at this size than the smaller, especially because I have to charge $12 for these because of the sewing, and it does take a little bit of time with all the color changes. And when it was the smaller acrylic size, that price point's harder to kind of like get people to agree to than when it's this size. Next, we have the axolotls that I sell. This is a Crochet by Jenna pattern. I should count how many times I say that in one video. This is a paid pattern that's on her shop. That it's no sew and fairly simple to whip up. They're usually pretty popular. I had 7 with me and I sold 4 of them, so I have 3 left. So that's pretty good. They're also usually looked at a ton. Sometimes that's the case of the parent will say, okay, why don't we do something cheaper? Because these are $12. Oh, dropped it. But yeah, so, but they do pretty well for me. And then in the same vein, the popping mushrooms. This is a pattern that I got on Etsy. I will link it. I think this is the Sammy Spore pattern. Don't quote me. But this is super popular, especially when I show people that it pops. And it's like, and I use the phrase silent fidget so much. Because for anyone who is familiar with fidgets, most of them make noise. Whether it's a turning mechanism or something that squeaks, anything else. The fact that this is completely silent, big selling point. I brought 8 and I sold 5, so I have 3 left. There are times where these just completely sell out for me. The 2 big markets that I have at the end of my holiday season, in the past, they have sold out. So I have to prepare enough to prepare for that. Okay, so next we had Scrunchies. This is the Passionate Kelsey pattern. It's on her YouTube channel. Again, I'll link it below. And I used the Juicy Couture yarn for most of this. And so these did okay. I had 11 and I sold 4 of them. So that's pretty solid. I've said in other videos, scrunchies are something that I prep kind of in between other things. I don't always take full inventory of them, and I'm trying to be better about that because they do fairly decently out of like the stuff that I normally have, and they are the cheapest thing that I sell. I sell these for $4. So I mean, I should put more care into them. I had 2 chicken nuggets. They both sold. That's an Etsy pattern. Again, I'll link and I'll put a picture if I have one. And then So then we're going to get into the keychains. So the keychains were newer this time. I did have them for that 2-day festival or the 2-day market that I did, and they didn't really sell. They did sell a little bit this time, which was nice. So I had the whale keychain. So this is actually the whales that I sell. It's this, just minus the keychain. And then I use a slightly different hook size for keychains versus non. Just because in my head I think it makes a difference. I don't really think it does when you look at it, but that's okay. So this is still the all from Jade pattern. And I had 8 of these and I sold 4 of them. So that this was by far my most popular of the keychains. I think it could have also had something to do with I sold out of whales, like the regular whales. So then I have mini Octo keychains. Same thing, it's that YouTube tutorial and then with a keychain. And I had 13 of these and I only sold 2. So I think that has to do with the fact that I had so many of the $5 ones. I sell both the whale and this one for $2 or $2 more. I sell them for $7. So I mean the price does work. I don't know. I might change it slightly. I haven't fully decided anything yet. And then the keychain Loaf Cats, I use the same Annie Caraway art pattern. I just use acrylic yarn and a 3.75 hook. So I end up selling these for 10. I sell the big version for 20 because it ends up taking me like a very similar amount of time because I don't lessen anything about these and I'm doing it on a smaller scale. So I had 3 of these and I sold 1. So that was kind of to be expected. But I honestly I can't go down in price on these because it does take me a little bit of time to make one of these. But they're so cute. They're so cute. Then I had brought the Winnie the Pooh characters. I'll put a picture of them here, or at least a picture of what I have, because they both sold. I had Winnie the Pooh and I had Piglet. This was an Instagram pattern that I can link if I can find the creator. But it's a free pattern I found on Instagram for these, and then they also have an Eeyore one. I talked about that Eeyore so much in the last vlog, but he had sold. I hadn't made another one. That's the Reader Digest version. And I think that is it for what actually sold. Sorry if I start to look redder after some clips because I'm cutting around like coughing fits. Because this cold's being annoying. Anyway. So all in all, I sold 70 items. So I brought 153 and I sold 70. A lot of small stuff, but still nothing to sneeze about. Like that's pretty good. Things that didn't sell this time. And then we'll get into the money. My hanging flowers, it's hit or miss. If there's a lot of teens or like young 20 somethings, these go like crazy because these are a good car accessory and the leaf goes up and down. This was a big preschool crowd, so they're not driving yet. And so these were not as popular. I brought 3 and I came back with 3. Totally fine. I don't mind holding on to these. And I'll still probably make more for the upcoming events because one of them is at a high school. So a lot of new drivers there that need to decorate their cars. Then other things that didn't sell are my bigger things. Again, to be expected. This guy, we know him. We love. Oh, my goodness. I forgot. Turtles. Turtles did sell. So Pause on the shelf. Pause on the shelf. Um, this is the tank turtle pattern. I will link. It's from Etsy. Pretty sure. I had made 14 and I sold 6 of them. So I ended up with 8 bringing home. So these guys are always looked at. They are my main baby safe option that I have because it's all embroidered and crocheted. There's no plastic in it. So these were definitely looked at a lot. I think it helped when I started to spread them out on the shelf. They were kind of crowded when I first set up, and I kind of made that change pretty early on. And so then they did become more popular, which was good. But yeah, sorry. 6 of those sold. Anywho, back to what didn't. So, Dinosaur. Again, we know him. We love him. He's going to be with me this whole season. I know it. It's fine. He's a big attention grabber, so that's fine. And then I don't have to make another one, which is great. The balloon dog, same kind of thing. We've seen him. We love him. That was I believe I got that off of Pinterest, like from a blog. That pattern. The dinosaur I also found on a blog. Both of these patterns. This guy, he was looked at a lot, but no one ended up buying him. The cow, this is by, I think it's Hannah Makes. It's a Etsy pattern. And he was looked at, so sorry. He was looked at and obviously not bought, but that's fine. I don't mind having leftover cows with me. And then the monster, I have him and his friend still. This is from a blog also, that pattern. I'll link all of those down below. But yeah, so basically my bigger stuff didn't sell. Not a huge surprise. Again, even though at this market people were there to shop, they weren't like ready to like shop for like holiday gifts. Which is fine. Because honestly, less big things I have to prep for the bigger shows. I will take it. All right. So money. The booth fee for this festival was $30. Again, I've said it in other videos. I will continue to say it. If you are looking to just get into markets and you're a little nervous about it, of how it's going to go, look for a church market or festival because their table prices are usually lower than other festivals that might be local to you. They have a built-in community that usually comes anyway, so the traffic is generally pretty consistent, and it's a good kind of starting point because besides just one that I do a year that's like super super busy, churches for me are very consistent where there's a decent amount of people coming through, but it never feels too overwhelming. So honestly, like my number one tip if you are looking into getting into markets and you're a little worried, look for a church event. The people are also usually pretty nice. And so, yeah, I would definitely suggest that. So, with that, for a 5-hour event, in cash, I made $440. In Venmo, I made $88. 88. And then by card on my Square, I made $132, which is a total of $660. With that booth fee being $30, which is on the lower side, again, because of the church, my take home profit was $630, which is pretty good for 5 hours of work and not technically the holiday season. So, yay! Again, like I said, this is my second year doing this particular festival. Definitely love that it was outside as opposed to the inside from last year. Last year also I didn't bring as much inventory because I was still fairly new to this. So I've definitely built up more inventory so then I was able to sell more, which was nice. I sold probably in quantity almost half of what I brought, but monetarily it was probably like a third. No, maybe more than that. I had potential of almost $1,700 worth of inventory, and I sold that 660. So yeah, probably like a third of um the money potential was actually there. I consider this a success, especially even though it was busy, it was still in that weird time frame for markets. I always find that fall markets, like people, again, they're starting to think about the holiday season and gifts, but they're also trying to avoid thinking about the stress of holiday season and gifts. So it's a fine line that we walk. So I had seen I watched a vlog recently. I wish I could remember who, but the owner of the small business said that her goal generally is 10 times the booth fee, which I think is a wonderful, wonderful rule. I'm going to find who said that and I will put it here. I will look through my YouTube history so that I can give credit to that. My base goal always for these is to make back the table fee. If I do that, great. Um my second goal is I think I am going to adopt the 10 times the booth fee because I think a table or booth fee really kind of gives you an idea on how busy the organizers expect an event to be. So, like for this one, with it being $30, my goal would have been 300, which would have matched around what I made last year when I was inside. So it felt like a realistic goal. Now, I doubled that, which was fantastic, but it's never fully expected. You always hope to have a good day. You always hope to bring enough so that it's stuff that people want to buy. That's always a goal, but you just never know what people are going to like that day. I also know that other people do their goals based on the inventory they bring. I know Old Soul Factory, she tries to sell 10% of her inventory as a goal. I think that's also a great way to think about it. However, you want to measure your success is totally up to you, but definitely I think selling anything is success. And getting to do this and getting to share my hobby with others is pretty cool because Lord knows I don't need to keep all of these plushies. There's a lot of them. So yeah, so I will definitely do this market again next year. The coordinator, she's so funny. She always hands out a sheet of paper with just kind of like expectations of the day, and then at the bottom of it she always puts when the next year's festival is to put it in our calendars. So it's already done. So that's good. Looking ahead of what we have left for this season, I have 3 more markets before I technically end my market season. I make the decision, and this is not everyone's choice, but I finish my market season the first week of December. That's my probably one of my biggest markets is that Saturday, and then I cut markets. That is for a couple of reasons. One, I usually like to, or I'm starting this year, so I'm going to say it's going to be a tradition. I would like to put on my website a plushie drop for like those like second and third weeks of December so I can try and get things to people that want them for holiday gifts, that might not be able to come to a market because you're just not local to me. Completely understand. And then I also usually have to plan for my own Christmas presents that I generally end up making. And I always push to the last minute. So generally, if I don't have to prep for markets, it alleviates some of that stress. Not all of it, but some. So yeah, that is the plan. But my next market is November 2nd. I have projected goals of what I want to prep. I've spent this morning making a spreadsheet based on things that I already have, what I would like to make by that November market, what I'd like to make in general, and then like a reach goal of what I want to make. I then have, I think it's like most of November off, but then I do back to back. I do Thanksgiving weekend, and Thanksgiving's late this year. So that Saturday, it's the 30th of November. It's the last day of November. It is the last day of November. So I do that one, which is pretty big, and then the December 7th one, which will be my last one, which is usually my biggest. So now I will say, I didn't do the fall festival that I had done in September last year. That was the first for me this year, and that was pretty big. So we will see if that December 7th one is still my biggest, but we can hope. But I'm definitely going to bring more this year than I did last year, because last year at that market I left with 6 plushies. Like, that's all I had left, which was crazy. So we're definitely going to make sure we are stocked and ready to go. I also know that for so this market I just did, there were 3 other crochet vendors, and there were 2 of them that sold plushies kind of similar, but they also sold other stuff. I know that the one on the 30th, that coordinator kind of makes sure that nobody is exactly the same. So I will probably be the only crochet plushie vendor there. And then on the 7th, that one last year, there was one other person that was selling crocheted plushies, but I still did pretty well because they separated us pretty well, which was good. So yeah, that's what I know. So that's where we're going to end it for this video. It's a little bit shorter than my normal market videos. Definitely blame the cold, blame my social anxiety, whatever else. But hopefully for my next market recap, it will be longer. I'm also hoping to make a market prep vlog leading up to that market, and I'm hoping to make a couple before the big ones that are at the end of November, beginning December. So look out for those. Definitely, if you like this video and want to see more like it, subscribe to my channel, like the video. It helps out a ton. I am on Instagram and TikTok at I Could Make That Butt. I also do currently sell some of these adorable plushies on my website at ICouldMakeThatButt.com. If you saw anything in today's video where you're like, oh my goodness, I just have to have it, some of it might be online right now. As always, if you have any questions, definitely leave comments down below, anything else that you would like to see. And with that, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!